Welcome back, travelers, to Jango Wexler's The Gathering Storm. Now, this is chapter 9, and we just, in the last chapter, Ralsrek had just seen that Elias had betrayed him most vilely, and we get to basically pick up right up at when he wakes up from that particular nightmare. So we kind of get an idea from how Ral felt, basically before before he met Tomek. And it's cool because it kind of reflects why he acted the way he did in Dragon's Maze, where he was a much colder individual and wasn't as emotional. Because ever since what had happened with Elias, Ral had made sure to keep people away. He had focused more on his blue aspects than his red. He had suppressed his emotions and was doing everything he could to not get attached. Of course, that didn't work out because he met Tomek and he fell in love and all that stuff happened. But it explains why he acted as arrogant and as just kind of cold as he did in those original things, and how Tomek kind of brought out the redder sides of him, which I thought was really cool. It's a nice little explanation and it fits his character really well. Obviously, Hakara, she's okay. She's in his office at Nivix, and she's basically just like telling everybody what happened. She's like, yeah, I was basically the best person in the entire room. There was no way they were gonna defeat me. I'm Hakara, the Razor Witch. And Ral's like, stop. None of that's true. All that is fabricated. All that is exaggerated. Stop. No. Lavinia, no longer in her hood, no longer like super secretive detective mode. She's basically just like showing up in a more official capacity of I am Lavinia kind of thing. And she's there. And she's white, blue. Hakara's red, black. Hakara's telling all this stuff to her. And Lavinia's like, that's nice. Thank you. Good. Okay, sure. And so you have these three individuals all here, and they're all basically trying to figure out, okay, well, this skill we have on our team, this skill we have on our team, but we can't really trust this one, we can't really trust this one. Vraska, of course, is a new guild master. She's a little iffy. We got, of course, the whole thing with Lazav. Even though he probably is good at this point, they don't entirely trust him because, of course, he is Demir, and they have a track record for being super sneaky backstabbers. So all that's happening. Obviously, Kaya is suddenly a wild card because she's guildmaster out of nowhere, and they don't really know how to deal with that. Speaking of not knowing how to deal with stuff, Kaya. Oh my gosh, Kaya. She's sitting down in one of those like really long sermons about tithing. And as a result, she's basically there, and obviously it's the Orzhov. So instead of it being about like, give money to the church, because it's like you giving your your due, not necessarily, well, yeah, for them it's definitely your due, it's your debt. It's all about debt with the Orzhov. It has nothing to do with like how you're able to better your people and stuff like that. And it's hilarious because she's just kind of sitting there, she's like, I really don't want to be here, this is boring, this guy's been talking for at least 15 hours, and my butt's starting to hurt, and I really need to go to the restroom. And so Kaya gets up, she goes off to go to the restroom, and this old man comes up to her and he's like, Guildmaster Kaya, please, I am extremely poor and extremely in debt, and I'm in a very bad place. And she's like, yeah, sure you are. What happened? And he goes, well, my wife was sick and I took out a loan, and then the priest said the loan was going to be good, but then of course he was lying because why wouldn't he? He was stealing my money. And so basically he realizes that as he has so much debt, there's no way he's going to get out from under it. And when he dies, which will be very soon, according to him, he'll probably feel it in his bones, he's done. He's done. His spirit will probably be endangered, but his kids will get all of his debt. His kids will get all of his mistakes, and he doesn't really want that at all for them. And so Kaya says, you know what? I'm going to forgive your debt. You're forgiven. And the old man's like, thank you, but no. Because just because she said it didn't make it true. Because this was like, it's a binding law contract of the soul kind of debt. It's not so much like just sign a paper contract. This is of the souls. They're connected. And Kaya basically just like focuses on all the weight on her, all the soul weight from Grandfather Karlov that she inherited, and finds like a very thin strand connecting her soul to this little old man. And she's like, oh, that's all you owe? Like, because like it's so much thinner, it's so much more minuscule and insignificant. And so she says, okay, and she focuses on tearing that bit of her soul basically off so that he can be free. And so she does it, it lets him go, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's actually real. I actually feel free. And she's like, yes, you are free. Okay, go ahead. You can get out of my face. And so he leaves, he scurries away, and so like that, it's just like a nice little moment where first off it shows how Kaya is, that she doesn't care too much for the like all the pomp and circumstance that has to go into things, and obviously she's not listening to any of the things people are saying that are like just like remember me, I'm important kind of people. She's more on the ground in the ranks kind of thing. And when she saw that old person that was poor and needed help, her heart told her, okay, help this person. These are the people that I should be like taking care of, like the widows and the orphans and the such, because this is what this establishment should be doing, basically. And so she's shaking things up in the Orzhov, and the people that were focused on like making as big as possible basilicas and stuff, they're in trouble. So that's gonna be fun. So then we have Vraska. Vraska was the last member of the assault on the Orzhov, on the killing the Obzedat, basically the assassination attempt. She's the last one that has to be mentioned, and it's really cool because obviously up to this point, Vraska, she got her memories back. She's on board with the good guys. She's like, we gotta stop Bolas, we gotta do what we can. It's gonna be great. And so she's got her erstwhile with her, and Mazarek is there. Mazarek is like, you need more people on your team. You need more zombies to take care of you, because that's what they're going to do. They'll take care of you. And Vraska's like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. He goes, I think you should take a few. Just take a few zombies that you think are on your team. I mean, that definitely are serving you, and you're going to do great. And so she goes, she's like, okay, I'll take like 4. So she takes 4, and she's going through the sewers. She's on her way out, and then this elf comes up to her, and he says, I just want to talk. And she's ready to kill him, obviously, but he's like, maybe not. And she realizes it's Bolas. And Bolas basically tells her, you work for me. I gave you everything. I made you. He goes, I can unmake you. He says, you may think that I'll just attack you, but because of the fact that the erstwhile are such a great source of labor, everyone that's important has one. There are zombies in the homes of all these people, and they trust these creatures. And they all belong to me, Nikol Bolas. Now, you may think to yourself, that's bad. And it is. It's extremely bad. All of these creatures belong to Bolas. They have her entire guild in a chokehold. And the moment he snaps his fingers, everyone that's important dies. Mass hysteria, chaos, the Gogar guild will collapse from within. And then after that's all happened, he'll make Vraska suffer even more. He says that she will know endless torment. So basically, he's saying, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to kill everything you love. It's much better. And so now she has to make the decision when she goes to the summit. Should she do what she thinks is right, or should she follow what Bolas says to try and save the others? I think she's going to do whatever Bolas wants, and I feel like that's a nice way to kind of like explain and kind of motivate her decision for what she does do when she does take her assassin's trophy. It's going to be interesting. And with that, we have finished this particular chapter, and it was a pretty simple chapter. It was very fun to read, very interesting to see the way the characters interact. You get a lot of motivations. It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to chapter 10, which I think is roughly the halfway point, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, travel well.